Why does it look like a fucking prison cafeteria almost? Like, it looks so bland. There's no atmosphere in here. Yuri! Yuri! We need your expertise. We need some atmosphere in here ASAP. This looks way too generic. After wandering the strip for about an hour, the two of us step into a small, bland-looking restaurant in order to order drinks and catch a breather. While we've been able to hold a normal conversation in time leading up till now, Sayori has undoubtedly been acting more reserved ever since leaving the clothing store. Something on your mind? Huh? Oh, not really. Just thinking about where we should go next. She's lying now the same way she did earlier. I unenthusiastically sip my drink while dwelling on her thought. Prying into the lives of others has never been a pastime of mine, but having her of all people shut me out like this... Mark? Yeah? Well, this might sound like a weird question, but what would you do if Monika asked you on a date? She already has. I mean, a date? With Monika? Yeah. I was just wondering how you'd react. I'm not usually one for hypotheticals, but... that's tough. Even though she's our club president, my feelings toward her are still complicated. Complicated? Yeah, between her amazing intuition and how she reminds me of the past, being alone with her for an extended period of time would certainly pose a threat. Oh, so that's what you meant. Is everything okay, Sayori? You seem anxious. Don't worry, I'm totally fine. There's just one more thing I want to ask. Instead of a date, what would you do if she said she was in love with you? Love, huh? Given how marrying Monika would be my best chance at becoming a stay-at-home husband, I'd probably just go with it. I want a serious answer. Honestly, in the off chance that she did confess to me, I would politely decline. Complicated as she may be, none of my feelings toward Monika could be considered romantic. You mean that? 100%. Her body appears to relax as she breathes a sigh of relief. Don't go getting too comfortable. Now it's your turn to answer some questions. Huh? What brought you on this sudden obsession with Monika's love life? Sayori's gaze falls to the table. Monika's really amazing, right? She's smart, pretty, athletic, fun to be around. Which made me think, if anyone could make you feel that, it would be her. That? You mean love? Mm-hmm. So, what? You supposed to be my wingwoman all of a sudden? Or wingman all of a sudden? I don't know. I just want you to be happy. My chest is stricken with pain as she stares sadly into her lap. Ever since the accident, my feelings towards Sayori have been more gratitude than anything else. But watching her fret like this over my own happiness, well... Sayori. Huh? Sorry for asking this so suddenly, but... how would you feel about the two of us becoming a couple? There's a heavy silence in the booth as she stares at me with both shock and confusion. What do you mean? Well... these things are still pretty confusing for me, but I think I might be in love with you. Ever since we talked in the classroom, I've noticed my feelings are more complicated than just friendship or gratitude. They almost remind me of when we were younger, which makes me think. Which makes me think being in love is the only explanation. As such, becoming a couple seems like the best way to determine the true nature and extent of these feelings. As I'm rationalizing this more so for myself than her, Sayori watches on with wide eyes. Love? With me? This isn't some kind of joke, right? I really will get mad if you're saying this just to mess with me. It's not a joke. Everything I've told you has been the honest truth. Mark. Aww. Pain strikes my chest once again as tears begin rolling down her cheeks. Are you okay? Yeah, sorry. Crying like this in public is pretty embarrassing, huh? She spends a few seconds wiping her face before looking back up at me. Are you sure you want to be with me, though? What about the other girls in the club? The others? Yeah. Isn't there someone you like more? Before I answer, tell me this. Are you against the idea of us becoming a couple? What are you... You seem rather adamant about having me end up with another girl. That's not... It's okay if you don't have romantic feelings for me. I'm not trying to force you into a decision, and won't be upset if you refuse. I do! I feel the same way. Then why are you so concerned with the others? Huh? To be honest, I've known about your feelings towards me for some time now, but never acted on this knowledge because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to properly reciprocate them. You knew? Another heavy silence shrouds us as she comes to terms with what she'd just been told. Then why'd you ask if there was anyone I liked when we were in the club room? Part of me was hoping you had developed feelings for somebody else. Come to think of it, I suppose I was doing the same thing then as you are now. Even though the idea of you being with another guy bothered me, I thought that would be the only way you'd ever find real happiness. We really do have too much in common. Mark, my heart pounds as though I just finished running a marathon. Now then, let's try this one more time. Don't consider anyone else's thoughts or feelings and answer purely based on what you yourself want. Will you be my girlfriend? Of course! Thank goodness. I fall backwards into the booth while letting out a sigh of relief. Mark? Sorry. Contrary to appearances, I was more than a little anxious about how you'd respond. My sudden exhaustion seems to surprise her even more than the confession. Something funny, punk? Sorry. I just never expected to see you getting worked up over something like love. Cut me some slack, will ya? These things are still foreign to me. Not giving me time to relax, Sayori shoots up from her seat. Let's head home. Yeah, but aren't there still stores you want to visit? We can always come back some other time. Now come on. She practically pulls me out of the booth before dragging me towards the exit. Ohio Sayori playing in the background. Because of course. I like pretty much every single soundtrack from Doki Doki Literature Club. Although Dreams of Love and Literature is my favorite, which sucks because you barely hear it because there's not many mods that actually have a poem game in it. And then when they don't, they very rarely use it as a regular soundtrack. Sayori's trip to Cloud 9 ends around the time we arrive back on our street. So we're officially a couple now, right? Sure seems that way. Her fidgeting grows increasingly restless the further we walk. Reality finally setting in? Kinda. I'm just not really sure how to act now. People have been mistaking us for a couple for as long as I can remember. Which makes me think the way we usually interact is good enough. Maybe. But aren't there things couples do that we don't? Oh? Hoping to skip right to the loot stuff? Of course not! You're the one who's always having immoral thoughts. Like when I was trying on the swimsuit. You definitely had a perverted look in your eyes. Well, what do you expect? I was looking at a cute girl who was half naked. So you admit it? Sure. They say honesty is one of the most important things in any growing relationship, after all. Don't try acting responsible after saying something like that. The rest of our relationship talk goes roughly the same way, with us eventually settling on stumbling around in the dark until we figure it out. She heads home after hanging out at my house for a while, and our first day as an official couple soon comes to an end. I don't think I even had any line like that when I was with Yuri or Monika. Makes me think that they were mostly rooting for Sayori. Well, then again, there were a ton of Sayori interactions, but that makes sense because, of course, she's the childhood friend, and you start, at least most of the time, not all the time, because some mods, of course, change things around. But most of the time you start with, you know, Sayori is the only one you knew, and then you join the club and you get to know the others. So it makes sense that there's a lot more Sayori scenes in the start, or in general, because he's like your actual friend, and you know you have to start getting to know the others first, you know. So it makes sense. But now with those lines, I'm like, oh, did the mod makers like want to meet like the MC to end up with Sayori? I stare blankly at the canned vegetables and processed meat currently set on my countertop. Looks like dinner's gonna be pretty generic again tonight. The sad sight brings to mind Sayori's recent comments about coming over and seeing her family. I wonder if they'd save me a spot at a dinner table. 4 years. Could we really eat together normally after all this time? Still, our parents deserve to know about how our relationship has changed. This is a problem I'll have to confront eventually. Ugh. The clashing between my rationality and uncertainty leaves behind an ever-growing dread. My brooding ultimately proves worthless, which leads me to believe this decision is too large for a single person. We're a couple now. Making such an important choice alone wouldn't be fair to Sayori. Still anxious, I take my phone out and dial her number. A few rings later... Oh, you have your school uniform on. What day was it? Wasn't it the weekend? Oh, it's just a few days later. I don't know which day it was. Okay. Hey, Mark. Yo, Sayori. Sorry for calling you out of the blue like this. No worries. Did you need something? Well, there's an issue I need to educate on. Huh? Adjudicate. Adjudicate, okay, I don't even know that word either, Sayori. You mean like a judge? Exactly. Yeah, why the hell don't you say that then? I thought I wasn't on Yuri's route anymore, yet my character knows big words that he can only have learned from Yuri. It's the only way. Or possibly Monika, but Yuri is much more likely. Though I honestly didn't expect you to know the word. Then why'd you use it? To establish my superiority, of course. Sorry, we're getting off topic. I only called to see if you'd be willing to help me with a decision. Well, I'm not sure how useful my advice will be. But sure, I'll try my best. Thank you, Sayori. You really don't have to thank me. Anyway, what's this decision you needed help with? Well, to be blunt, should I face your parents? Huh? Actually, I suppose the more important question is, would you think less of me if I chose not to? That's... The line goes silent for several seconds. So you don't want to, after all? You're wrong. To be honest, I'm only asking because I'm scared. Scared? Yeah. After avoiding them for all these years, trying to close the distance now would just feel unnatural, I guess? Mark, they understand how much you went through back then, so try not to worry so much. As for whether I'd think less of you or not, well... What's so funny? I love you, remember? That much won't change no matter what you decide. Being faced with her genuine feelings is enough to make my heart rate increase. Then tell me this, what do you want? Huh? Do you want me making up with them, or are you content with how things are now? Another long silence. I think it would be nice if you saw them again. My uneasy slowly replaced with a newfound determination as she says this. Understood. Is your mother preparing a meal tonight by any chance? Maybe, I'd have to ask. Wait, are you saying... My girlfriend wants me meeting with her parents, right? Circumstances aside, this seems like a fairly standard trial for any new couple. Not to mention how I've still got to start paying off that massive debt I owe you. Mark? Here, let me go ask her real quick. The sound of Sayori rushing through the house can be heard clearly through the phone. Mom! Are you cooking tonight? Straight to the point as always. Their conversation is too muffled to understand once Sayori's shouting has died down, leaving me with nothing to do but wait. Hello, Mark? You still there? Yeah. What did your mom say? She told me Mark is welcome to join us whenever he likes. We're having a big dinner tonight, so you should totally come over later. Even from across the street, her glow of excitement is practically blinding. Try not to get too giddy, will ya? Don't you know to keep expectations low around me? No way, not this time. I mean, when was the last time the four of us ate together? Ooh, maybe we should use the nice dishes. She gets lost in her own little world as the ordeal continues weighing on me. This was gonna happen eventually, so I might as well get it over with now. Given how living normally hasn't improved my situation in any substantial way, going out on a limb every so often may not be a bad idea. I'm gonna go let Mom know you're coming. We normally eat at 6, so head over around then. Right. See you soon, Sayori. Oh no, I love you as you hang up the call. Her overwhelming joy does make me feel slightly more optimistic, but the lingering unease doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Too late to back out now. All I can do is prepare for the long haul and hope everything goes alright. The clock shows 4:45, giving me plenty of time to begin preparing for the trial ahead. Knock knock. I'm unusually jittery as the sound of someone approaching comes through the door. Hey Mike, you're here early? Well, it took less time to prepare than I thought. Prepare? Oh, what's in the bag? Presents for your mom and dad. Coming here empty-handed wouldn't have felt right. You really didn't need to bring anything, but I'm sure they'll be grateful. So, ready to come inside? As ready as I'll ever be? Great! Come on, they're probably waiting for us. Oh yeah, I was about to say, I've seen this before, but yeah, Sayori like invited me and Monika there to study at one point. Sayori leads me to the kitchen, where her mother is currently standing over the counter while her father sits at the table. Pardon my intrusion. Every pair of eyes in the room is immediately lands on me. Sayori, we don't get to know what her name is? Mark, is that really you? It's so nice to see you again, and look how much you've grown. No kidding. Sayori was still a few inches taller last time we saw you. Just what have you been eating? I'm totally caught off guard as they greet me in a completely normal manner. Context of their words aside, they're acting as though we saw each other only a few days ago. Thanks for having me. As for my eating habits, your daughter constantly scolds me for how boring my diet is. Eating habits, huh? Seems your seriousness hasn't changed much. Please, come in and make yourself at home. No need to be a stranger. Sayori, who has been standing behind me this whole time, steps forward. Mom, Dad, Mark brought you some gifts. Gifts? For us? Well, coming without a token of gratitude would have felt improper. They both stare at me baffled before beginning to chuckle. You might have been wrong. You might have been wrong about him not changing, Ma. He's grown even more serious than before. Come now, honey, don't tease the boy. He's only trying to be considerate. Here, this one's for you, sir. Ooh, a premium dark roast. Talk about some high quality stuff. This is a can of my favorite brew. I hope you'll enjoy it as well. Oh, so you've become a fellow coffee connoisseur. Connoisseur. I thought it said connoisseur for a second. Never would have expected as much. Would have expected as much after seeing how you reacted to your first sip. Yep. Certainly didn't believe a 10-year-old would actually enjoy black coffee. Certainly didn't believe a 10-year-old would actually enjoy black coffee. I reacted to that. I don't know what MC's original reaction was, but I'm pretty sure I reacted to that times 10. For my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th sip, because I still don't like coffee. It is disgusting. Well, I find it disgusting, let's put it that way. If you drink it, that's completely fine, but I do not like the taste whatsoever. Even I can't drink that stuff. Me neither. Sayori and her mom look like twins as they both make a blah face. You two just don't appreciate the finer things in life. Ain't that right, Mark? In Sayori's case, it's probably because her palate's been ruined by eating too much sweet stuff. Yeah, I hear you. Your mother's the same way. Alright fellas, that's enough ganging up on the girls. You two can enjoy your bitter water while Sayori and I drink things that actually taste good. Oh, speaking of which, I will go over to set a small box on the counter next to Sayori's mother. Ooh, chocolate cake? Yes, ma'am. I was recommended this slice by a classmate who is rather familiar with all the local bakeries. So is that Natsuki? Oh yeah, it is. Never thought there'd come a time where I needed to ask Natsuki for advice about sweets. Ooh, that looks delicious. Mama, can I have some too? Only if you finish your dinner and just a small piece. This is a gift for the adults after all. Honestly, the two of them act more alike now than they did 4 years ago. Everything is almost ready, so why don't you go ahead and take a seat, Mark? Sayori could help you prepare the plate. Oh, Sayori, could you help prepare the plates with me? I head towards the table as Sayori steps into the kitchen. Into? Weren't you already there? Not long after taking a seat, various plates and bowls containing side dishes are spread out in front of me. We're having fried chicken tonight, Mark. Is that okay? Yes, ma'am. To be honest, I've dreamt about eating your cooking again for no telling how many years. Oh? Hear that, honey? Someone who actually appreciates my cooking. Don't try turning this around on me. The boy's obviously just brown-nosing. I guess the old man can see through my pretty words. A trait neither his wife nor daughter seem to share. Here you go. Sliding back into the dining area, Sayori lays down a platter of fried chicken and a bowl of salad. We've got plenty, so there is no need to hold back. Once the two girls are seated, we all say our thanks before loading up our plates. When my time to speak comes just as everyone finishes divvying up their share. Before we begin eating, there's something I'd like to say. The confusion quickly turns to surprise as I bow my head in their direction. I'm sorry for taking so long to come back here. Mark. There's a moment of silence before a gentle smile forms on her mother's face. That's quite alright, Mark. There's really no need to apologize. With how much Sayori talks about you, it's almost as though you never left. Mom! She's right, Mark. With everything else you've had going on these last few years, it would have been selfish of us to demand your attention. Pain runs through my chest as they barrage me with a dizzying amount of kindness. Thank you, all of you. Raising my head, I'm met with a view best described as family. Sayori really has been keeping us up to date, especially over the last few months. You joined our club back in April, correct? Yes, ma'am. Though given how persistent she can be, my decision to do so was largely at her discretion. I see, so she basically drug you into it. Her mother leans back in her chair with a big grin on her face. Sounds like her habit of pulling you around still hasn't gone away. Must be rough, huh, Mark? Hey! Would you mind not making me sound like a bully? Bully or not, I'm thankful for what she did, both now and back then. Joining the literature club has helped me in many ways, and I probably don't have to explain how much she supported me with when we were kids. There's a brief moment of uncomfortable silence following this before Sayori's mom scrambles to say something. I'm glad to hear she hasn't been bothering you. Part of me is always concerned that she may be getting too comfortable with having you accompany her. Don't worry, she's never been a genuine hindrance. I didn't see the word never, I was like, what? Well, not a big one anyway. Her father turns his attention toward me as I'm shooting Sayori a cheeky grin. So, are the two of you finally dating yet? The room goes dead silent in several seconds. Come now, dear. You promised you would say you wouldn't? You promised you wouldn't say things like, yeah, something along those lines. Ah, right. Sayori told us you've become quite the kidder. He's not joking. There's an awkwardness in the air that makes me even want to get up and leave. That makes even me want to get up and leave. Come on, why do you look so shocked? You're the ones who were always talking about how we would make a good couple or acted like we were married. While that may be true, hearing you admit to being in a relationship is still rather surprising, especially after how adamant you've been about denying such things over the last few years. What changed? To be honest, there was no change, not for me at least. My feelings for her developed back when we were younger and were only made more prominent after spending so much time together recently. I'm the same way. I've liked Mike for a long time. She stares at the table in an attempt to hide her blush. Ah, well, while it does come as a surprise, I suppose this type of thing is part of youth too. Don't you think so, darling? Sayori's dad doesn't immediately respond, instead choosing to take a more serious expression. Speaking honestly, I have mixed feelings about Sayori having a boyfriend. But Sayori and her mother look at him befuddled. Dad? I'm not a little kid anymore, you know? She's not wrong, honey. Sayori will be a college student here before long. I'm perfectly aware of this, but regardless, it's a father's duty to worry. Even though I do hold Mark in high regard, Sayori is still my one and only daughter. You may not understand this now, but these things really weigh on a man. Which is why I'd like to keep things the way they are. At least until the situation is out of my hands. Dad? Dear? I see. If you don't want us officially dating for the time being, that's fine. Having to wait a few more months isn't going to make me like her any less. I really do love her, sir, more than anyone else ever could. Not counting the two of you, of course. My cheeks begin feeling hot as Sayori stares at me with a flushed red face. Well, that's how it is, in case you had any doubts. My parents look at me with total bewilderment. I'm surprised, Mark. You never struck me as the outspoken type. Your daughter is partially to blame for that, sir. I see. He takes a long drink of his beer before beginning to scratch his neck. Well, if Sayori is going to be dating, suppose it's rather be the guy. Oh, no, never mind. Suppose rather the guy be you than anyone else. Really? He gives a small nod. Sayori's face lights up like a kid opening a Christmas present. Try not worrying so much, dear. With Mark by her side, I'm sure the two of them will be just fine. Having brought this little impromptu trial to a close, everyone's attention returns to their plates. Given how fixated he was on our relationship as kids, I doubt her dad was actually all that opposed to the two of us dating. The concerned father routine was likely his attempt of saving face, or maybe to see how serious I was about his daughter. Honestly, looking at those two, it's not hard to see where Sayori gets her personality from. Our family dinner drags on for much longer than expected due to how often her parents ask me about various aspects of my life. Sayori mentioned you have been rather busy studying for entrance exams. Do you already know what type of career you want to pursue once you get into college? Assuming I can get my desired university, I can attend my desired university, I'm planning on majoring in accounting. Well, that's a good choice. There's always going to be demand of accountants, so finding stable employment shouldn't be difficult. Not to mention how such jobs often pay quite well. Accounting, huh? If I'm remembering correctly, didn't your... He freezes mid-sentence, but the guilty look on his face gives me a pretty good idea of what he was about to say. Didn't your sister want to be an accountant? A familiar tightness invades my chest as bittersweet memories rise to the surface. Discomfort aside, this may be my best opportunity for moving forward. Talking to people who actually knew her could make things easier, but still, my deliberation only causes the discomfort to grow worse. Reminisce, I guess. That's right. Right around the time she entered high school, Haruda was dead set on becoming an accountant. All three of them recoil slightly as they hear something totally unexpected. Mark, it's okay. You don't have to dance around the subject out of consideration. I see. The mood of the room becomes increasingly heavy following another brief moment of silence. I still remember the day we heard the news. The two of us had only seen your sister a handful of times. Like when she'd tag along with you and Sayori for one of your games. But even we could tell there was something special about her. She had a light that I've never once seen in anyone else. So when they told us about the accident, about how her light had been snuffed out, well, it felt cruel. Sayori took on the news especially hard. She barely ate and would spend most of the day sleeping or lying in bed. Just getting her to come out of her room became almost impossible. Mom, it's maybe insensitive for me to say, since you and Haruna aren't my children, but I realized that day just how important the two of you were to this family. I felt pain in my heart, not only for Sayori but for you as well. So when I heard about the situation with your parents, about how they left you alone, well, I spent the whole day crying. To think they could do such a thing to a child who had just gone through so much. Resentment is an evil thing, and I don't mean to speak ill of your parents, but still, I wish there was more we could have done for you back then. Both Sayori and her mom look like they're on the brink of tears as she speaks. You may not believe me when I say this, but you did plenty for me back then. My time here, along with all the memories I made, is what kept me going. There's no telling what state I'd be in right now, if not for all of you. For that I'll always be grateful. They all watch as I bow my head once more. That's... Mark! I wasn't the only one who felt this way either. Haruna knew how much you all took care of me when we were younger. It wouldn't surprise me if she was even a little jealous. The words become harder and harder to get out as I begin getting choked up. Is everything alright? If you excuse me, I'll be in the bathroom. Hey! Her words fall on deaf ears as I hurry out of the kitchen. A load of bricks fall into my stomach. I was like, what? A load of bricks fall into my stomach as I shut the door behind me. Damn it. Talking to them was supposed to make this hurt less. So why am I crying? A young boy with long streaks of tears running down his face watches me from the mirror. Have I really not made any progress? Am I still the same old crybaby she always said I was? The room begins spinning as a hot pain flares up in my head. Long before this finally ends. This family ends. Mark? Oh, what the hell? I've been teleported to Sayori's room. Sayori stares at me from the doorway. What are you doing in here? I thought you went to the bathroom. Yeah, so did I. I did, and I was gonna come back to the kitchen afterwards. But just didn't feel ready yet. Is everything okay? You looked really upset earlier. I shake my head. My plan may have backfired a bit. You didn't have to push yourself. Mom and Dad would have understood. I know, but they seemed like the best people to try talking about my past with. I was hoping a conversation or two would help me make some progress, but, well, guess my calculations were a little off. My head continues pounding as I fake a smile. Progress? Are you sure you need to change? Huh? I mean, what's wrong with the way you are now? Do you really have to go through something so painful? Are you saying I should stay like this forever? No, well, I don't know. But watching you hurt like this is hard. Not just for me, but for all of us. Given how empathetic she is, seeing me in this state will only make the burden she feels even heavier. Sorry, Sayori. I should have planned ahead better. Don't apologize. I know this isn't your fault. She takes a seat on the floor next to me before placing her hands on mine. Is there anything I can do to help you feel better? Do you have pain relievers? My head's pounding like a drum. Yeah. She walks over to her desk before returning with a bottle of ibuprofen. Let me go grab a cup of water real quick. No need. She watches me shake out 2 pills before swallowing them dry. Thanks. Hopefully they don't take too long to kick in. With this done, I lean back against her bed. Do you want to lay down? That would feel better than sitting on the floor. I'm alright here. Where are your parents, by the way? Still in the kitchen? Yeah. They're both in there cleaning up right now. Then you should go tell them what's going on. Otherwise they may keep worrying about my little disappearing act. Right. She turns back towards me after reaching the doorway. What should I tell them? Whatever sounds right is fine. Wouldn't make sense to keep lying at this point. Okay. Be back soon, Mark. And with this I'm left alone once more.